All right, everybody, welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Channel. I'm Adam JD Martin, and today I'm joined by Hart from RentPanda, who's going to be sharing with us the lessons learned from interviewing and screening over 25,000 tenants. Guys, 25,000 tenants screened. What are the takeaways, man? I literally need to know because we're about to place some new tenants, and I am terrified. The lessons learned from interviewing and screening over 25,000 tenants. Guys, 25,000 tenants screened. What are the takeaways, man? I literally need to know because we're about to place some new tenants and I am terrified.
Well, first and foremost, you shouldn't be placing them yourself. You should just be hiring RentPanda. So there's your first tip just for you. But lessons from screening 25,000 tenants aren't that complicated. Landlords that have been doing it for 10, 20, 30 tenant placements should know the same things. But the first and foremost one is screening really starts before you think you're screening. And it's all about writing the right ad for your listing. You need to make sure that your listing is descriptive. You need to make sure that you're not spending and wasting time answering a bunch of questions about your ad that should have been in the description. So save yourself some time, write a descriptive ad. And you don't need to write, real estate sales ads. This isn't about, your cozy home that has a breakfast nook and things like that. You can make it point form. You can make it succinct. Tenants are searching for hundreds and hundreds of places. Think about it from their perspective. Get right to the point and just tell them exactly what your place offers without any fluff and embellishment. The second thing about advertising is make a video. We're in a day and age where you don't need to waste time showing someone a place. And then they say, you know what, I don't actually really like this, dark corridor, or this room is a lot smaller than I thought it would be. There are tools out there and experts out there who can do those videos for you, whether it's a simple walkthrough video on your iPhone or a Matterport, true 360. You can go the spectrum and really just make a good video. And again, save yourself a ton of time with those walkthroughs where people just are tire kicking because they want to see the place. And then the third thing with the advertisement is get a floor plan. And so this one is a nuance that a lot of landlords don't do. But again, you're going to have people come through and misinterpret your place based on the advertisement, and putting a floor plan down really helps, people get an understanding of what this space looks like and feels like and actually can fit. It'll also save you time that when you find your tenant, they're not asking you to come by the place and take measurements for their couch and take measurements of the door. So getting it done once and having it for the duration of your property is really a worthwhile investment. So advertise right is our first point there.
Dude, that's so key. Like, I can't tell you how useful it is, even just look at real estate listings, to have a floor plan already on there. Because when you say something to me, like to the average person, it's 700 square feet. Well, what does that mean? Like, I actually have no clue what that means. Like, I would love to know the floor plan. How big is the actual bedroom? Or if there are multiple bedrooms, like what's the smallest bedroom look like? And to your point, saves so much time. I'm going to filter myself out if I already know that, like, hey, this listing is not for me. I'm not going to waste your time and apply to something that's a bad fit. And they find out as soon as they get there. But now you've already crossed town, right? You're already there. So it's saving so much time there.
For sure. And you just said, filter people out, allow them to filter themselves out. And most landlords write their ad saying, here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I need out of a tenant. And turn it on its head and think about it from a tenant perspective. What are they going to be looking for? What are things that are going to disqualify or self-disqualify people who aren't the right fit for your home? And it's, that person who really loves their 70-inch TV and massive, 9-seater couch probably isn't right for your 600 square foot place. But if you put in the size of that living room and that the wall can't actually fit their 70-inch, they're gone before they waste your time with a showing. So number 2, pre-qualify everyone. So a lot of landlords will just talk to people on Facebook or on any messaging platform. They'll ask them a few easy questions and then they'll schedule a showing. And again, it's wasting your time to have people come through the place that aren't pre-qualified. And AAA tenants are going to allow themselves to be pre-qualified. They're not going to be afraid of filling out an application or a screening tool or even just a Google form. And so save yourself a ton of time by pre-qualifying everyone. And again, there are tools out there, not to be biased, but RentPanda's got one, whether it's just a Google form that you build for yourself or another application that you get from a fellow landlord. Using those tools and responding to every single message that you get on any platform with a link to that pre-qualification form or whatever it ends up being is so, so important. And then only take those people who you want to, who have been pre-qualified, who meet your ideal view of what a tenant is, take them to the next step of a showing.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic to hear too that RentPanda offers that.
Yeah, for sure. And then when you get to the showings, build a system for actually planning your showings, scheduling your showings, and doing your showings. So first and foremost, again, from a technology company, there is a lot of technology out there to make scheduling showings more efficient. We talked about it in another video. Maybe someone will link it somewhere. I won't point, but over 9.5 hours is spent per listing on average from a landlord dealing with messages and arranging showings. So schedule them efficiently. Use RentPanda's scheduling tool. Build yourself a Calendly tool and assume 40% of those people, and that's on the low end, are going to be no-shows. So when we schedule showings, we schedule them 5 minutes apart. And that's not because we're mean and we just only want to spend 5 minutes with everyone. We're assuming 40 to 50% of people are not going to show up. So we're going to have a good 10 minutes with each applicant coming through. We're also not scheduling showings one-off and just having a full day of showings, across 9 hours of time. We're going to do a 2-hour block. We're going to get a ton of people through the door and they're all going to be pre-qualified.
Yeah, the way I've always referred to this is almost a showing open house. And it's not truly an open house because, hopefully you've already done some pre-screening, but
yeah,
almost an open house for everybody to show up between a couple of hours. So much efficiency there.
Yeah, for sure. And some of these tools have built-in features where it'll send reminder emails. It'll ask for reminder texts. All of those reminders help decrease the number of no-shows that you get. And if you talk to any seasoned landlord, no-shows are the bane of their existence, probably more than that Facebook "is it still available" button. But when you're especially driving out to a property that may not be around the corner from you and half the people don't show up, it just boils your blood. So do yourself the favor, acknowledge that there will be no-shows, but use all of the tools that are out there to really reduce that number as much as possible. And then when you're at the showings, use your gut. So a lot of landlords who especially have used some technology will avoid their gut and just say, I'm scheduling my showings, I've got my application forms, I've got my credit checks and background checks, and they don't really pay attention at the showings. In the same way, a lot of realtors will throw a lockbox on the door and allow any other realtor to come through showing their applicant the place. And we really are an advocate for meeting everyone. Either yourself or your leasing agent should be meeting everyone, attending all of those showings, and using that gut feeling that you're going to hone over time. And so that's really about, talking with someone, again, seeing if they're going to show up on time, text you if they're running late, how they treat you when they enter the door. Do they offer to take off their shoes or do they just start walking through your property? And then paying attention to those details, those really fine details, like do they say they have no pets, but there's some pet hair and dander on them? Or do they walk to their car and then subtly spark up a cigarette once they get back in their car and they think you're not looking? So all of those little intangibles are incredibly important to pay attention to. And there's some obvious ones. I mean, we've done showings where people have literally walked in with open cans of beer and they look like amazing quality applicants on paper. And so you get a lot from meeting someone in person.
Yeah, there's something that the screen can never give you, right? Yeah. Which is smell-o-vision. Okay, yeah. You can't smell. You're not getting a lot of tactile sense through a screen or through paper through an application. Yeah. Very difficult to get those intangibles from that, but you can certainly learn a lot about people when you meet them in person. And I can tell you for sure some of the worst tenants that I've inherited over time. It would have been very obvious if you met them on the street that they were not, A+ tenants.
Yeah, for sure. And, frankly, even if your property is a B or C property, you're still going to get a sense of who is the right fit for that property. And of that set, who's the best quality tenant. And a lot of the times, building a relationship from the start of that screening, that's going to really lead to a great relationship down the line when you choose that person. So imagine that you're meeting everyone for the first time and that they will eventually be your tenant if you are at that screening or that showing. And then the fourth point here is just invest in that quantitative screening. So with all of your due diligence done up front and all of your time spent at that showings, all of the tools that exist out there to do that quantitative analysis, crossing those T's and dotting those I's, you've got to invest in it. There's a ton of tools out there and more are coming to the market. Obviously, we're going to be biased towards RentPanda's tools, but credit checks, background checks, tools to automatically verify ID. Bank checks exist now on our platform where you can actually verify income and expenses coming in and out of someone's bank account. We're building systems for landlord reviews. We're building systems for people to be able to upload, obviously, all of their documentation, but also introductory videos telling you more about them, showing you the face of that person who's applying and allowing them to be more human digitally. And so all of these screening tools exist, but the reality is they're going to cost something. Not all screening tools are free, and investing in those credit reports, those background checks, those ID verifications, those bank checks is really important, and not just to do with that one person. If you've got a great tenant who's absolutely perfect, fine, but most landlords go through the process and they see a couple top quality applicants. So screen them all, and then maybe you've got another property that in 2 months comes up and they're still looking. Or maybe you've got a good friend who's got a good property and you want to pitch them over. And so screening people and really identifying those top applicants through quantitative and qualitative measures is incredibly important. And that's the real lesson that we've learned after screening 25,000 people and building the tools to allow for those screenings.
Yeah, I couldn't support that more. I mean, words are great, but data is better, right? And words, data, plus actual face-to-face interactions. Yeah, like we're adding here into the media richness and the depth at which you can actually understand the quality of the tenant and begin building that relationship, right? First impressions are very important. And last impressions as well. Like as somebody's exiting, what does that look like? And I think that's an important thing to add to this is, how does the person leave the property? Are they leaving a great impression on you? Are they respectful, polite, and all those things? And just remember that most people are putting on their best face when they meet you for the first time. So that's where a look at the credit and things like that RentPanda can give you access to are going to be extremely useful when qualifying.
Yeah, for sure. And some of the new tools that are coming out, are pushing past that realm of credit and background checks. A lot of landlords will just take credit at face value. They'll see a number and they won't accept tenants that have credit below X%. And the reality is there's a lot of really good quality tenants who aren't necessarily going to have the best credit. We've talked about students in another video, and getting good quality students through the door is a viable strategy. New immigrants who are coming to this country who may have been engineers and doctors in past lives are coming without credit history. And so, having a guarantor is great, but also having other means to dig into their financial ability to pay rent is really important. So things like a bank check, and we've got that integrated into our systems now, allows you to go into that bank account, tap into it, and see what income they've got coming in and what expenses they have going out. It can even start to evaluate, trends and general behaviors with their payments, and can allude to some things like, do they have a pet because they're shopping at PetSmart every month? And do they smoke because they happen to be going and purchasing a $14 item at a gas station every day?
Yeah, you're at Esso every day. I've got questions.
Yeah, so there's a lot of new tools that are coming out, and people should leverage them to make their landlording business better.
Awesome. Yeah, those are some tremendous tips, Hart. And I think anybody could take these tips and instantly improve their business. So that's fantastic. Sure. And I love too that everything you've mentioned just happens to be services that are good value adds included with RentPanda's, as part of RentPanda's offerings. So, I mean, guys, get over there, check this out, go look at the website. I was browsing through the website today of services that are available from both the landlord and the tenant side. And it's actually incredible. You guys have a very full suite of value to add, right? And all of these tools, regardless of what they cost, are going to be value adds for your business, right? And one thing too, that Hart's probably not been screaming from the roofs, but these things are expenses. Any type of professional services like this is an expense for you. You write this off, go use the tool, hand over the expense to your accountant and improve your business. That's as simple as it gets. It's a line item. Why are
Yeah.
you not using this already? Why am
In
I not
every-
using this? You were giving me hell at the start of this that I'm not using this already. I will be for
Fair
placing
enough.
everything in the future. So
Yeah, and the reality is, you know, screening 25,000 tenants through our platform was really a product of us getting into the market. You know, I'm a landlord, I'm an investor myself. We've gone through the process. We have a leasing team that's constantly evolving the learning. And we're talking with landlords every single day. And so even landlords that come to the platform that are a little bit wary about what to do or where to go or what tool to invest in, if you call us, you're calling us, you're calling my cell phone, you're calling our team. And all of us are landlords and investors and really invested in this market, invested in the learning. And so we've got the resources. For those who don't know where to go, we can help point you in the right direction, even if it's just using all the free tools that exist online or sending you to all the appropriate YouTube channels or podcasts that can help you out on your landlord journey.
yeah, I mean, I know it's worth mentioning that I've personally seen you and RentPanda at tons of real estate investing meetups, right?
Yep.
In person, IRL, meeting up with investors that are really going to be using these tools and doing what I can only assume is market research. You're researching the tools that real investors in our markets in Ontario are going to be needing, right? And
Yep.
and I think that's a service that cannot be. There's no way to get a service to be as good as it can be without talking to the actual consumers. And you guys have been there for years. I mean, literally years. So
we actually stole from Airbnb's playbook when they first started out, sleeping on every host's couch. So when we started RentPanda, my brother and I were taking photos, free photos, for every single landlord who listed on the platform. And we've talked personally and taken photos for over 3,000 landlords. And so 3,000 conversations, plus all those in real life meetups that you're talking about, really helped us build this tool. And we're constantly building the tool, right? Every conversation and every pain point that landlords have, we want to be able to fix.
yeah, incredible. That's a massive competitive advantage for anybody who's going to use this service. You have to imagine this is actually the product of having had thousands of conversations, not only with tenants, but more importantly with the landlords associated to those units, right? To figure out what it is that you specifically need. So Hart, really appreciate you coming on the Canadian Real Estate channel today. Anybody listening, please get after it. Go over to RentPanda right now. Check out the services. Like and subscribe to our channel because you know these guys aren't going anywhere. He's going to be back with more value to add to you and your business to help push that bottom line as hard as we can. So thank you very much, guys, for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.